Hello everybody and welcome to the Homestead's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today we're going to be transplanting this pear tree. It's a Bartlett pear tree. Last year in the late spring I planted 4 of them in a row here. You can see. And this one is not doing very well. I didn't realize when I planted them, I should have taken a better look around, but it is directly under a black walnut tree. I didn't plant this, it was here when we moved in, but walnuts produce a toxin that kills other plants in the area. There's, if you look online, there's lists that will tell you what can grow under walnut and thrive, and plants that will not do well underneath. Anyways, this is a Bartlett pear tree, so I'm just going to go through the process today of digging this up and transplanting it and explaining that process to you. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to pull all the mulch back from around the tree. Our area is pretty wet. There's a trench right here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I built up around all the trees when I planted them and put a lot of mulch down in an attempt to give them some root space that would be dry. And the other 7 trees that I planted here are all doing fairly well, so that process worked out pretty well so far. But as you can see on this tree, there's just a lot of leaves that are turning brown and falling off. It wasn't happening in the spring, but now that we're mid-summer or early summer, it seems to be happening more and more, and every leaf is just drooped, and you know, it just really doesn't look well. It sounds really dry. But yeah, when you purchase a perennial like this, you're making an investment and you want a return on that investment. So there's nothing wrong with transplanting things if they're not doing well. Now you want to go nice and wide and really deep. The goal is obviously to get as much of the taproot, the main root that branches down in line with the stalk of the tree. We want to get as much of that out as possible. But to ensure it survives, you really want to try to get as much of the secondary root as you can. And I'll show you some of that when I get this guy out of the ground. Moving this fella is going to hinder its growth, but it's better to hinder some of the growth and have it survive than it would be to just leave it here and watch it slowly die, because I'm convinced that eventually this tree will die if I don't move it. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Hopefully we didn't sever too many of the roots, but the root ball looks good and intact, and there really wasn't much going down further in here. I can see there's some pretty big stones buried, so maybe it was a combination of a little bit sandy soil here, and it's nice and moist, so it wasn't like it wasn't getting any water. But yeah, I'm still convinced that this walnut tree here that it was growing underneath is exuding its defense chemicals through its root system and was toxifying this plant here. Okay, so I talked it over with the wife, and this is going to be the new location for our Bartlett pear tree. The sun comes up over here, sets over here east to west, so it's going to get lots of sun here. It's on a bit of a slope, so I said our property is very wet. The water will run off in this direction, and it pools over here when we get a lot of rain for a couple of days. But I think that all in all, this is a great spot for it. It'll provide eventually some shading in and around here, and hopefully it does well. So, just gonna dig a hole quick. The root ball was really a lot less developed than I thought it would have been. So that might also have been part of the problem. Okay, so you can see here, not sure if you can see from there, but this is where the tree has been above ground. You can see it's been below ground here. There's some tiny secondary roots that have shot out, but not a lot of growth here. But you really don't want to plant it up above this line. It's fairly defined, so if you're ever having to do this, you'll be able to tell where it should be. And taking a look, there's really only a few roots that had made their way out of the compostable pot that they were in. So I don't think I lost very much in digging around it. So I'll just put that in the ground, ensuring it's straight. Pretty good. Okay, so the hole that I dug, you're gonna have grass on top. What I do is I stick that, rip it off, separate as much soil as I can, and then stuff the grass down as deeply into the hole as possible so that it's gonna die. It'll also supply the plant with some nutrients as the grass will die. Just separating the soil. As you're packing it down, it's going to shift, so you're going to want to make sure that it's still straight. step back and take a look. You have a better view than I do. But all in all, that looks pretty straight. Could possibly go over a little. So there we go. Lastly, I'm not going to fertilize. Our yard, the majority of the growth on our yard is clover, so it has lots of nutrients in the ground already for this plant. Lots of people will give them a boost with some fertilizer just to ensure that you get good growth. There's lots of products out there you can use, lots of stuff around the house you can use, but I'm going to make sure that I give this thing a good water. It's usually recommended when you transplant trees from nursery that you give them a good soak once a week. But again, our place is always heavily saturated, so I'm just going to give it a little water today once to make sure that it gets what it needs, and I'll be checking on this every day just to ensure that things are going well. It doesn't appear as though it's getting any worse. But yeah, that's about it. So if you have any questions, you can leave them for me underneath the video, and I'll get back to you with some information to the best of my ability, what I can help you out with, and when I can, I'll recommend other sites for you to check out. If you like what you're seeing, like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see some more. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.